Blessings in Jesus' name. So I just want to nip something in the bud real quick. Under the EU Convention on the Rights of the Child, they have a right to opinions and beliefs. They have a right also to conscience. And so a child has a right to know the truth about something. Now, Satan's always trying to work the angles. He's always trying to test the waters, put feelers out and see what would be the reaction here if I did this, or if I took this angle, or if I tried this, or if I threw this arrow. Somebody might say, well, it's causing the child distress that they would hear that Santa is actually a depiction of the devil who hunts the souls of children. Would this cause a child distress? It better. It better cause a degree of distress. It should at least cause a renewed awareness. You see, but there are types of distress. There's a healthy type of distress and an unhealthy type of distress. You see, distress, when it's causing extreme anxiety, is one thing. But when it's causing extreme concern, it's another thing. Somebody should be... You see, if anxiety is something that is not producing anything good, then that's a sort of a harmful action. But if the anxiety produces something good, then the action is not harmful. Like, for example, somebody might say, there is a murderer outside your front door. You might go, what? But you were forewarned, therefore the action was not harmful because you were able to react in time. So the degree of distress that you experienced was protective. It was preserving your life rather than harming you. So because our laws always protect against harm, distress in and of itself is not harmful if the fruit it reaps is good. Do you understand? Somebody might say, your house is on fire. Oh, you caused me distress. But that distress led you to get out of your house quickly. That degree of anxiety that you felt at that moment led you to run out of the house before the fire consumed you. Therefore, that distress was actually of benefit to you. It's like if somebody told you were being chased by a tiger. Oh, go away, you're causing me distress. I was having a nice, relaxing roar, and then the tiger tears you apart. So, would you say your friends would be gathered around you saying, oh, go away, stop causing that young person distress there because you're upsetting their day? Oh, okay. Roar! And then the tiger tears the child apart. Sorry, I didn't mean to upset your day in any way. I just wanted to help. To a corpse on the ground. To a cadaver dismembered. So there are certain types of distress that are actually necessary. You see, when it's versed in law where it says causing persistent alarm, harassment and distress, we have to assume that the alarm, harassment and distress, it culminates in harm. If it doesn't culminate in harm, it was actually of benefit to you. If it exposes something that is going to be harmful to you. If I say to you, Christmas is pagan and celebrating it means that you're engaging in things which your God hates and you'll end up burning in hell if you don't come away from those things, If that causes you distress, it should, because you should immediately become anxious that there are people around you fashioning weapons against you to the destruction of your soul. So you should absolutely have a degree of alarm in you. You should absolutely have a degree of anxiety in you. Whether it's extreme or not, well, that's up to the individual to say. That's up to the child to say. Is this causing me extreme anxiety? Well, is it, Susie? Say it is, Susie. Say it is. Say it is. That's why they carefully word these things, so that they can play on the wordings of them later on and imply that just because somebody is experiencing anxiety, that's definitely harmful to them. Not every form of anxiety is harmful. Do you understand? And I'll tell you why again. If you're being chased by a Rottweiler, that's a good time to get anxious and run. If you're sitting at home knitting and you're having an anxiety attack, something's wrong. If somebody's warning you of harm that's coming against you, you should certainly become anxious. That harm is coming against you. And that should cause you to react in a way where you cease from engaging that activity, or you abstain from engaging that activity. You see how the devil carefully words things so he can manipulate situations? Because the devil doesn't want the person coming out and exposing the thing, and if he does, then somebody will come along and throw the wordings of the legislations at you. But this is causing the children distress. They're just coming down here to have a hot dog and a go on the carousel, and here you are talking about Santa is a depiction of Satan. Well, so they see worse things in cartoons nowadays. Tom and Jerry is violent. They see Tom hitting Jerry over the head with a hammer and squashing him flat. And they're conditioned so that this doesn't cause them distress. Or do you think it might cause them distress to see acts of violence? Of course it does, the first time they see it. But then they become defiled by it, desensitized to it. And why is that okay? Why is that sort of distress not considered a problem? That's not yielding any good. But the type of distress, the anxiety that one might experience, and we can only suppose, worst case scenario, a child by hearing that Santa is a depiction of Satan, is distressed or extremely anxious. One can only assume that the news has yielded the right response, because it should be greatly distressing to somebody who hears that, who's been lied to by their family, that the opposite is the case, that Satan is this, or sorry, rather Santa is this good character that only brings prezzies, and you should love Santy and leave things out for Santy. Yay! Let's send our letters up the chimney to the North Pole. Yay, Santy! Writing letters to a depiction of the devil, which has a pagan origin. If this doesn't cause you distress, something's seriously wrong. Something's seriously wrong if people exposing the pagan root of Christmas doesn't cause distress. It should cause distress to adults and children alike. It should cause distress all across the board, to the point where people abandon Christmas. People most certainly should be anxious when they hear you're going to go to hell if you keep sinning. This should cause a person distress, to the point where they flee from the wrath to come. They flee from hell and seek the Lord Jesus. Some types of distress are good. because they yield preservation. They don't yield harm. Harm in and of itself does not equate to distress, and distress does not equate to harm. If, you see, we have certain things in law that if you're doing them and they cause distress, then it's a breach of the law. But if you're not doing them and distress is called, you haven't broken the law. Because distress can be caused for a number of irrational reasons. People can become distressed irrationally. It's only reasonable to suggest that one becoming distressed rationally is not a harmful thing to them. Assuming that the action is harmful or potentially harmful, then and only then is distress a harmful response. For example, if somebody threatens you with immediate physical violence, then it is reasonable to say that that person has caused harmful distress to the recipient of that threat. For example, if I was to say to somebody, I'm going to bash you, I'm going to beat you to a pulp, and that person was caused a degree of distress, then you could most certainly say that somebody has committed a crime. Because, why? Because inciting violence or threats of violence is a crime. But as a Christian preacher, you receive death threats on a regular basis. You receive threats of violence on a regular basis, and nothing is said. But if I was to go to somebody and say, I'm going to bash you, I would have absolutely have committed a crime. And so if the person was distressed by that, then it would be reasonable to say that what I had done has created harm, because the threat was of harm. The threat was to do harm. Do you see? Do you see the difference here? But if a warning causes you distress, causing you to react in a way that preserves you, then the distress wasn't harmful, of the harmful sort, because there was no threat. So distress only comes as a result of a threat, the harmful type of distress, because it yields no good. Whereas when somebody exposes an evil and it causes distress, then there is the potential for good to result, even of that distress. But when somebody is distressed as a result of a crime having been committed, then there is no potential for good to come of that distress, unless the person has actually become distressed and the distress led them to flee from the harm. However, that could still be deemed as harmful distress because it was the result of a crime having been committed. So it was avoidable distress. The type of distress that is unavoidable is the type of distress that results as a result of, or that results from, being warned to flee from harm. You cannot rationalize, no reasonable person could conclude that distress that results of a warning to preserve yourself or the exposure of a lie can be a harmful sort of distress. When people lied to me about Santa, they harmed me. When they told me Santa was a good old character that you should write letters to, they harmed me. They led me into a degree of ignorance and harmed me. That's measurable harm. Some people are distressed when they find out Santa's not real. They actually cry. Children find out Santa's not real and they cry. Say, Santa's not real. I thought Santa was real. They've asked the child to become emotionally dependent upon the idea of Santa. Now they're harming the children by telling them Santa's real. But Santa depicts a real person. He depicts the devil. So what they've done is they've led the children to be dependent upon an idea of Satan. But Santa in and of himself isn't a real person. It's a depiction of a real person who is Satan. Here is wisdom. So, there are types of distress that preserve you and types of distress that don't preserve you. The type of distress that might result of somebody discovering a truth is not harmful. As a result of the truth being told, it is only potentially harmful as a result of the lie that was told to cause the person to believe that thing in the first place. Edifying a person and exposing the lie is not the harm. The harm results of the lie. For example, somebody finding out Santa is not real has been harmed by the lie. That's measurable, quantifiable harm. That child is upset and crying because of a lie. If a child is upset and crying because a truth has been exposed, a lie has been exposed, then it's still the lie that harmed them. Never the truth. The truth doesn't harm anybody. The lie initially told does. You're just distressing the children. Go away, we're trying to have a nice family day out, and you're distressing the children. No, you distressed them. You set them up for distress when you told them the lie. You prepared the ground for distress. Exposing a lie isn't the cause of the distress. The lie is. Your dad is not your dad. The one we've been calling your dad for all these years, he's not actually your dad. Why did you lie to me? You betrayed me. You betrayed me for all these years. You told me that was my father and you betrayed me. Oh, why did you have to go and tell her? Now look what you did. No, you did that when you lied to them. When you kept the truth from them, you harmed them. You set them up for harm. You placed them in harm's way. You set up this distress. You caused the distress by lying to them in the first place. If distress isn't as a result of a direct threat against somebody's safety, it's not a crime. Anything else would be unreasonable to suggest. Now, unless you can prove that Santa exists, then you can't call exposing Santa Claus as a pagan festival harmful. That would be preposterous. It would be preposterous. Jesus said, have nothing to do with the unfruitful works of darkness. Christmas is an unfruitful work of darkness. He said, but rather expose them. And that's what I've done. Should I submit to the people lying to their children? Setting them up for distress? Or should I submit to my Lord who tells me to tell the truth? I should always submit to my Lord Jesus. He tells me, tell them the truth. And don't draw back. For the one who draws back, I have no pleasure in him. Tell them the truth. Tell your children the truth. Stop setting them up for distress. I know somebody who was distressed when they found out Santa wasn't real. What about that distress? No speak of that. Guys. It is known for centuries, for as long as Christmas has been implemented in societies, in Western societies, that it is a pagan festival. It has been exposed. I'm not the first to expose it. Go on YouTube. I've copied and pasted some videos on my page. You'll see them there. Go there, read, have a look. I'm not saying that absolutely everything in those videos is true, but they'll give you an idea of why Christmas is pagan. Okay? Idolatry, covetousness, gluttony, drunkenness, all of those things are not of God. They're not. And they're trying to make it cute. Oh, Santa's red whiskey nose. Leave him out some whiskey there. Oh, Santa's drunk driving. This is evil stuff. Trying to make it cute. The thing that will destroy your soul in hell forever. How cute it is. It's wicked. It's dastardly wicked. They cornering young children, cornering little babies, as soon as they can talk. Santa's coming to bring you presents. Is he? Oh. Santy. Hey, Santy. It's Santy. Look at his big belly, his big beard, and his big hat. Oh. It's depicting the devil. The devil hunts souls into the burning fire forever. And that doesn't distress you? Then there's something seriously wrong and upside down. So before you say, telling the truth causes children harassment, alarm and distress, no. Lying to children causes them, sets them up for distress. Stop lying to them. Santa's not real. I cried when I heard Santa wasn't real. So did I. Santa's not real. And the poor little children are crying. Because their parents have lied to them. For all those years. Why they make a fool out of me, telling me Santa's real. It's not real. You make me look stupid. For all those years, I thought Santa was real and his reindeers. And now you're telling me Santa's not real. And you've betrayed them. You betrayed them telling them Santa's real. You betrayed them. You hurt them. You got their heartstrings. You lied to them. You defiled them. And you polluted their heartstrings, telling them that Santa was real. Yay! Santa came! Yay! No, he didn't. Oh, it was Daddy and Mammy wrapping the presents. Ah, that was really nice of them to try and keep Wonder alive for so many years. It was lovely of them. But Santa's not real. Santa's not. Why? And they're genuinely distressed. And they're hurt. Oh, he is real, but he's the devil and he's hunting your soul. What? Santa is real? What a sense of wonder. Oh, Santa's not real. You don't care about them. Don't pretend you do. Don't pretend you care about them. Because if you cared about them, you'd tell them the truth. Assuming that you know it's a lie. Because you might be in ignorance as well as a young parent. Rare, but it might be the case that you're in your 30s with a child and you don't know that it's silly and hurtful and harmful to tell your children that Santa's real. Because it is evil. It's very evil. And the one telling them the truth is causing the distress. Maybe an upside down land at the North Pole. Where the demons are wrapping the presents. Guys, you know, the devil will always try to accuse you of what he's doing himself. I was accused today that I was very calculated and nasty in going out where people were out with their family and exposing that Christmas is a pagan festival, an allegorical depiction of how Satan goes about hunting mankind. Do you think that we should leave that quiet and let our children to believe that Santa's this person who cares about them? When it's a pagan depiction and allegory of the devil. Then people might say, oh, come on, there's a time and a place, you know. There's a time and a place for, you know, exposing corruption. There's a time and a place for exposing corruption. It's not now. What? Wait till they have that bad news? Is that what it is? I think somebody's trying to bring me food again that I can't eat. How you doing?
Alright.
I'm blessed.
Nice to you.
I actually can't eat the food.
You can't eat the food.
No,
You can drink the drink.
I can't even do that.
No.
I'll show you why. I have autoimmune disease. It's not contagious. It's when the body attacks itself.
Right,
I
okay.
can't actually eat at the moment.
Alright.
But thanks for bringing out the food. That's very thoughtful of you. And hopefully there's somebody else who can eat it. I can't eat
You
it.
can't eat it.
But if you go to Ann Street, there's some homeless guys over there. They might eat it.
Are you warm enough there?
Ah, sure, I'll survive. Survive so far.
I don't bother, man. Look, God bless.
Yeah, I'll send the drink as well.
Yeah, you
I can't drink it.
can't drink it. I don't bother,
I have a
man.
very limited diet what I can eat.
I'll go down Dan Street.
Why can't you eat or drink?
Because when I was 30, I used to be able to eat anything I wanted. But when I got to 30, I got sick in my stomach. And now, when I eat certain foods, my body attacks itself.
Tell me this, is it the end of Bryce Street? There's a few lads
Do you
there.
know where the throughway to Centra is? There used to be Supervac.
Yes, yes.
On Ann Street,
In
there's
there,
lads,
are they?
they usually keep down there. Or you might find a guy you know Henrietta Street?
Yeah.
Do you know where the Polish shop is and there's a little archway between the two roads?
Yeah.
You might find a guy in there, you know.
All the best.
Bye.
Bye.
Easy, yeah?
Thanks. Here's a boy out with his daddy bringing food to homeless people. And he asked me why I couldn't eat that food. And so I had to tell him. But it's always important to encourage young people in doing generous things and caring about their fellow man. It's good that his dad is bringing him around and teaching him that lesson. But I think it was a takeout. Can't eat that grub. As much as I'd love to eat it, I can't. I simply can't. So. Now. Oh, my side. So. If somebody lies, right? If somebody lies and you expose the lie and a person is hurt, is it because you exposed the lie or because they were lied to in the first place that they get hurt? And should we leave them in ignorance so that they're not hurt? Ignorance is harmful. So if you leave somebody in ignorance, you are hurting them. And actually, when you know the truth and you don't expose it, now you're actively hurting them by leaving them in ignorance. So when you leave somebody in ignorance because of a lie, you're hurting them. You see the implications of that? You might say, well, I didn't tell them the lie in the first place. No, but you could now tell them the truth and are choosing not to. See the point? See, somebody who's lying, they'll always try to incite you to lie with them. And you sort of team up with them if you don't expose the lie when you become aware of it. You team up with the liar. I'm not going to team up with the devil and be quiet about the lie of that is Christmas. Because then I'd be harming the children by not telling them the truth. Because one day, after many years of being lied to by their parents, they're going to find out that Santa's not real. Now, if somebody's not thinking straight, they'd go, "You're so evil and twisted. You're exposing that Santa's not real. That's like the children's wonderment and..." No. Wonderment about a lie? Why not wonder about God? Why not be in wonder about the one who is wonderful? The wonderful counselor, our God Jesus. Devil's not wonderful. He lies. Satan's not wonderful. He lies. He keeps you in ignorance. There's a difference between wondering about something because you're just in ignorance and wondering about something because it's beyond knowing. You see the difference? I say you just restated the same thing twice. No, what I'm saying is there's a perpetually transcendent God who we must always wonder about because we can't ever know everything about him. That's true wonder. But wondering as a result of not knowing something in ignorance when you can know it and should know it, that's evil. See the difference, guys? Don't let them deceive you, because they present something as being one thing when it's not. The one who's exposing the pagan root of Christmas is not the evil one. They're not the nasty one. The one who knows it is evil and perpetuates it is the nasty one. Because now they're actively harming innocent and vulnerable, gullible people. Children. Actively harming them. Little children. That's very bad. I mean, it's very bad. But can't you see how tricky the devil is? He's very tricky, very clever. Because he gets you to become emotionally bonded to something, even chemically bonded to something to such a great extent that you would protect it, even though it's a lie. And you learn to love a lie then. You've learned to love a lie. It has become ingrained in your psychology, so that you want to pass it on to your own children then. That's sick. That's a whole new level of what's it called? I can't think of the name of it now, but it's Stockholm Syndrome. When a person actually sort of grows favor for their captor, they actually become affectionate towards the one that's harming them. The feelings of affection towards them. That's when you've been twisted up and defiled by an evil action. Your makeup, your body has learned to accommodate it and encompass it and integrate it and allow it in. So that Stockholm Syndrome is affection for the one who's harmed you, for your captor. And that's what it sort of is with Satan. He causes people to become emotionally dependent on him. It's very clever. He has had to have an understanding of the psychology of man to implement such an evil. That's what they do. Demons understand the psychology of men. They've been studying human beings and their psychology. They're expert in human psychology. Doubt it not, they're a deadly host. And they know how to fashion these weapons like Christmas. Christmas is very carefully calculated evil. That's why I was accused of being calculated and nasty today. Because the devil accuses you of the thing you're exposing about him. Like somebody who's caught robbing a fiver will throw it at the nearest person and say, they took it. So they'll blame you for the thing that you're exposing in them. They'll accuse you of it. Why? Because that's the furthest position away from where you were just standing. They've tried to throw you as far away from accusing them as they could by accusing you of what you just accused them of. That's a real psychological curveball they threw you there. Well, I didn't do it. Now you're on the defensive, where you were on the offensive, exposing the lie. Now you're defending yourself. You've gone from being very concise and deliberate, stating the truth. That person's robbing a fiver. No, I didn't rob the fiver. Oh, I didn't rob the fiver. Oh, really? Prove it. I didn't rob the fiver. I saw them robbing the fiver. Oh, now you turn on the waterworks. Trick in the book. That's the oldest trick in the book. They do all of this stuff. When you catch the devil doing something, he's going to try and accuse you of the thing you've caught him doing. That's why they'll come against me and say, I'm being nasty and calculated. Why? Because that's what the devil does. He accuses you of the thing you're exposing him doing. It's very nasty, very calculated to tell children that Santa exists. As this wonderful, caring, giving person. Yeah, Satan gives like a bear trapper puts bait in the bear trap. That's how Satan gives. So, we have to be exposing the evils of this day. We have to be. Because if we're not exposing the evils of this day, we're contributing to the evil. Listen again. If we're not exposing the evils, we're contributing to them by failing to expose them. Are you getting it now? There's somebody about to rob your house. I have your phone number. I don't bother ringing you. You're in there watching the TV and they're coming in the front door with a baseball bat. I could have warned you. But I didn't. Because I didn't have to. I wasn't the one robbing the house. I didn't have to do it. I didn't do any harm. How did I do any harm? It wasn't me that robbed the house. I didn't do the evil. Didn't you? But you could have called them. You could have forewarned them. It was within your power to warn them and you didn't do it. You didn't do it. You were complicit. You were on the side of the baseball bat. You might as well have held the baseball bat and entered the house yourself. Mightn't you? I'm not here to accuse you. I'm here to make you very aware that if you know something is true and you don't state it, you're causing harm. If you know something is a lie and you don't state it, you're causing harm. If you don't expose a lie, when you know it's a lie, you are causing harm. If you know that somebody's sick and you have it within your power to help that person, and you don't, you're causing the harm. You're causing it. Especially if it's your responsibility and you're equipped to help. That's why governments claim that they're not equipped to help. But they are. Because people pay tax. See the point? If you're equipped to help, and you know that help is needed, and you don't help, you're doing the harm. You're doing it. You actually might as well be doing the harm. You're doing it. You're doing the harm. See how it works now? People cannot claim that they did no harm simply because they weren't the one actually robbing the house, if they knew the house was about to be robbed and they didn't tell anybody. They cannot claim innocence. They cannot claim impunity or immunity. They're guilty. That's why it's so important to give to people in need. It's vital for societies to give to the needy when they're equipped to. And so, if a society is saying, well, we're helping the Ukrainians, I absolutely encourage that. I think we should always help anybody who's in need. But what I'm saying to you is this, that to favour one person over another is unacceptable, irrespective of what country they're from. That's irrelevant. That shouldn't really even enter into the equation. This person's from Ukraine, this person's from Latvia, this person's from Poland, this person's from Russia, this person's from America, this person's from Spain. That's rather an irrelevance. The point is that no person should be favoured over the other. They should be treated the same and afforded the same help. But that's not happening. We're seeing that war victims are being treated better than those in need in Ireland. Why are we seeing that? If Ireland are equipped to help war victims, they're equipped to help their own. Now they can no longer claim that they weren't equipped to help. So if they were equipped to help, they were equipped to prevent. So they've nowhere to hide. They're exposed. If you're equipped to help 2,000 people all of a sudden, you were equipped to help those in your own community who are in need. Why didn't you? Then you're using the 2,000 people you've just helped as a reason not to help your own people. Irish citizens who were in need already, prior to the express need of people from another nation. I still reiterate, we shouldn't discriminate against somebody simply because they're from a different country. But it certainly has to be mentioned. And the reason it's important to mention is because the need of the people in Ireland who are already in Ireland, irrespective of their origin in terms of their nationality, they were in Ireland, so they had a need. So why didn't you help them when they needed it? But you were able to help other people from another island, showing that you had the capacity both to prevent the need accruing and to provide for the need once it had accrued. So you didn't do anything you were supposed to do. But now you're claiming that you're this big benevolent and philanthropical entity who will help those in need when you didn't. So now instead of it being surplus that you would help others, it is actually exposing your reluctance to help and your failure to do so. So you can't use this as a cover over. You can't say, well, look how philanthropical we are in helping war victims. This doesn't cover your ineptness and your refusal, because it wasn't an inability. You've shown that. It wasn't a lack of provision. You've shown that. It was a refusal to help. If you have the ability all of a sudden to make housing estates available to people, you had the ability to make them available to anybody who needed them at any stage. But now suddenly there's a rush on to make them available. Why? So you walked yourself into that. You exposed yourself in doing that. You stood in the dung heap. You stepped in it, it's still on your shoe, and everybody can smell it. Because now you're reaching out to help, but you're still not helping those who were in need prior to the expressed need of the war victims. You're still not helping them. You're still not building houses for those who need them, even though you've shown that you have the capacity to do so. And quickly. That you have the capacity to make affordable housing available, cheap housing available. But you didn't do it. You've exposed yourself. You see, darkness can't hide for very long. It exposes itself by way of its evil. It's only a matter of time. And it's just that a person needs to be articulate enough to show why their most recent action exposes their shortfall. Do you see how that works? The government had the ability to build emergency housing. They had the ability and the funding to make it affordable to thousands of people very quickly, and they didn't. Why? Because now Irish people should be treated worse than war victims? What's that saying to communicating to your own people? To Ireland, to Irish citizens? You're of no value? You're of no worth? But those war victims are, because they make us look good, you see. It makes us look good that we would reach out to help people. Do they think that it covers their over their obvious evil? Because they're reaching out to look good to help people of other nations has exposed their absolute refusal to help their own. It hasn't added a feather to their cap. It has taken several away because they weren't deserved. It has exposed them. Do you not see it, guys? Those who are in government, those who are able to quickly sort this, they didn't. So they were manipulating. They were making people suffer unnecessarily. They want to create a resentment in the hearts of those who have been neglected. You see, they're inciting resentment. But in so doing, they've exposed their evil. Darkness can't hide. It can't hide in the light. Do you see? It can't hide when the truth's been spoken. That's why it lashes out at the one speaking the truth. Because it can't hide. That's why I'm lying here, sick in the minus temperatures. Basically, unable to eat. Slowly starving because I can't consume sufficient calories. And what are they doing? Nothing. People still offer me bags of chips that I can't eat, bottles of Coke that I can't drink. Fivers that I can't spend. So money isn't the problem. Are you not seeing that? Because there seems to be plenty of it. So what's the problem? A deliberate refusal to do what is right in a timely fashion to prevent the accruing of harm. They do things, they want to appear as fixing the problem after the harm has been caused. Do you see now? And by the way, when people are helped from other nations, it's generally Freemasons who are being helped and their families. So if it's Freemasons and their families being helped, obviously they would be helped from other countries before the people who are not Freemasons would be in Ireland. Do you see how it works now? Because they see Freemasonry as the true nation. Not Ireland, not England, not Europe, not America. Freemasonry. They see that as the true society. Do you see how it works now? So of course they're going to try and help their own all around the earth before they'll help those who aren't their own, even though they'll be standing right beside them on the same piece of land, the same island, under the same constitution. Come on over to Ireland and we'll give you a house. But you have to be a Freemason. That's just Freemasons getting into government and helping other Freemasons. That's why the Irish Constitution enshrined that you cannot be in an organ of state and a Freemason, because they knew that would happen. They were protecting the nation against that witchcraft. Against those witchcraft societies, because they can only do harm, they don't know how to do any good. So when they wrote the Constitution, they were protecting us against them. Wars are fought between witches and cowans. Those in Freemasonic lodges are those who incite wars. Pearl Harbor, the Twin Towers, Russia, Ukraine, all of that stuff, it's all part of the show. It's all part of the show. See how it works? And I'm exposing it for you. That's why God sends us. So that you'll see the truth and come to us. And be saved with us. So that you'll come to the Lord Jesus. And join us in exposing the lie. So that others will be saved too. See how it works? Blessings, I love you.